Hello, everyone, and welcome to D2C Dialogues. Today, we have with us Siddhant Keshwani, founder and CEO of Libas. Libas tells the story of a new age Indian woman who is free spirited, independent, and aware. Welcome to D2C Dialogues, Siddhant.
Hello, hi, Dr. Hitesh. I'm Siddhant Keshwani. I'm very happy to be a part of this forum, and I'm looking forward to a very insightful session with you.
The first question, which everybody asks, you have been in the business for a decade or two or more than that. But when and how did you get this idea to start Libas?
So the idea of Libas, so the retail journey of Libas really started sometime in 2014, and the idea was that this was back in the day when I was studying in the UK. E-commerce shopping had become a big fad over there, and people were actually addicted to shopping on places like Amazon, where I mean, the whole idea of convenience of getting products sitting at home, that idea honestly this was not that big in India back in the day when I'm talking about early 2011, 12, early 2010. So e-commerce was just picking up at the time. I think the only e-commerce platform that we all knew about was maybe a Flipkart. Even Amazon in India didn't exist back in the day. So I actually saw this trend where people were actually very addicted to e-commerce shopping in other countries like UK, US, and I was pretty sure that the concept of e-commerce is going to really scale up in India as well in the coming years. So the idea, the seed of doing something in this e-commerce space of e-commerce is actually where it all began, and that's where the idea came in that I was very sure that I want to do something in the space of e-commerce. And as soon as I graduated back in 2012, I came back and my research towards what product to launch, how to, I mean, tackle e-commerce in our country, what are the right platforms. So that's how the journey of retail or journey of e-commerce really started for us, so being a D2C brand.
So this was the reason. Now, what was the reason to get into ethnic wear? Any specific reason that you could share with
Yes.
us or insight?
So I remember back in the day, a lot of people were getting into this e-commerce business. I could already see that, this is going to be a very competitive space in a few weeks, in a few months. And actually what people were doing mostly was they were actually importing products from China, white labeling them here and selling it online. So that was actually the main e-commerce business, main part of the e-commerce business. I wanted to do some product that was actually that we could manufacture in India. Fortunately, I had some family background in supply chain of women's ethnic wear. So I thought at least the supply part will be sorted and I can focus on distribution and sales. And I'll have some experience because I've actually grown up looking at fashion. So fashion was actually an upfront choice for me. I definitely knew that I wanted to do something in the space of fashion. Ethnic wear majorly because of 2 to 3 reasons. One of them being that the majority of the people that were actually shopping online at the time were working women or working men who were going to offices and they didn't have the time to go out to retail stores. So they thought that this convenience that so that market was growing rapidly. So we actually targeted the working women. We thought that selling kurtas, which at a sweet price point of 500 to 800 rupees back in the day, because people were not comfortable spending more money online that time. And 500 to 1000 was actually the sweet price point where people were very comfortable spending and they wanted to experiment newer platforms. So we tapped onto the market of working women and we wanted to create workwear, kurtas, etc. for women. So that's how the idea of doing ethnic wear really came in.
You mentioned the price range and you mentioned the category also. What were the other strategic initiatives that you had taken at that time? Because it was just a launch, although you had a background of apparel, but one, the segment that you have chosen, second, the price range that you have chosen, and that too almost a decade back. What were the major challenges you faced that time, Siddhant? Because as you rightly mentioned, e-commerce was just in its initial stage.
So the idea of ethnic wear was pretty clear, but I still spent about 1 year to understand how the market is behaving because at the time when I said experience, we also had experience in slightly heavy suits, lehengas, etc., which was actually not a right fit for the e-commerce space in India. Nobody at that time was spending 5,000, 10,000 rupees online. So we actually spent about a year to understand what product would really do well. So the idea was, like I said, working women, and we wanted to actually tap onto that culture of addictive shopping the trend that I saw in the Western countries for fashion, right? That's why we wanted a product that people buy again and again. Because the challenges was that market was growing, but newer audiences were not growing as fast until say 2014, 15. So we actually had to make sure we did a product where repeat purchases happen quite often. And working women was actually the only people who were they wanted to wear something new to offices. They wanted to actually buy a product that they had confidence in terms of quality, because ethnic wear in our country has mostly been unorganized for the last 30, 40 years, right? Especially the kurta category or the kurta set category or casual category. It's been mostly 95% of it was unbranded. And with e-commerce, what happened with the approach and the pan-India scale that you could achieve, people were moving from unbranded to branded. So that's the ideology that we really wanted to tap onto. And I still remember that we actually after the research back in 2014 we were ready to go live. We made about 1,000 products, and we thought कि ये 1,000 बिकेंगे नहीं बिकेंगे ऑनलाइन आके कौन खरीदेगा. So we went live with those 1,000 products, and we thought कि एक दो महीने के लिए तो चलो इन्वेंट्री है, starting में 20-30 ऑर्डर तो आ ही जाएंगे, and we'll have inventory for 30-40 days. To our surprise, that inventory got sold out within 3 days. So as soon as we got live, I don't know, that time either the brands were less or our product was fantastic or we hit the right market. That's where we really got the confidence. Now the challenges were that how do you scale up supply chain and operations for something like that? Because today, I think in a country with a population of 1.5 billion people, distribution is not a huge problem. Supply is something that needs to be organized, right? And till date, I feel that now we're shipping almost 50 lakh orders in a year, and even then we are still playing catch up with trying to catch up with the supply problem in our country, right? So I think that challenge was back there back then as well, and today it still exists.
So still even after supplying 50 lakhs orders, you still have the challenge.
It's an ever growing market, right? You prepare for 50, you reach 60. You prepare for 60, you actually reach 70. So
Wow.
demand has been tremendous in our country, fortunately.
So Siddhant, you are on an auto mode for growth.
Absolutely. I mean, I would actually put the right, and that would be the right word, that I think if you crack supply in our country, distribution is not a problem for most good quality products. If your product is right and you crack supply, distribution honestly is an automation for everything, because if you have the right platforms in front of you, selling really happens on its own.
So who gets the credit for this? It's only distribution, or what were the other areas that
I
made
think
this thing happen?
staying relevant with times, I would give credit to that our teams have always made sure that, because I think the market changes quite fast these days. Trends are changing quite fast. Fashion is changing quite fast. Certain kind of products do well in 6 months, and in the next 6 months it's something else, right? So seasonality plays a huge role. So I think I would give credit to our whole team that we've always stayed relevant even after these 10 years. We've been leaders in the e-commerce space, and a lot of brands have come in, even then we actually dominating at the top, and we're making sure that nobody is able to kind of do better products than us, or stay more relevant. So I think credit to the team for that. Plus, more than that, I think credit to a lot of platforms who are scaling up really well. So marketplaces is a big size of the business for us. So they've really strategically partnered with us and seen our potential. So I think I would give credit to all that.
You started as a e-commerce brand, a D2C brand. When did you decide that I have to go offline?
See, we always knew that offline, as compared to a lot of other countries where online penetration is so high, that the offline markets have been crashing down, right? There are certain countries where online businesses are now like 30 to 35% of the overall retail. And in a country like ours, even though e-commerce is growing rapidly, but today it's still like mid single digits and late single digit, right? I mean, 90% of the people are still shopping offline. Uh, Back in the day, we started offline just in 2020. We didn't start before that because we felt the online space was growing very, very rapidly. And offline, while it was big, it was still very, very competitive. And I think post-COVID, you would have seen 80% of the brands who used to swear by offline and say that online हमारा माल तो बिक ही नहीं सकता are all online, right? So we felt that the online space is getting cluttered now, and people are actually scared after COVID to scale up offline. But we knew as a brand that the future is going to be omni-channel. it's not online, it's not offline for us. We actually feel that it should be an ecosystem where whether you're consumer, it's because you have to be where your consumer is, right? So today as a brand, if I'm available online and so I might have a loyalist, for example, if you're a Libas buyer, you're actually a loyal customer online, but on a Sunday, if you're going to a mall, you have that mood of shopping, right? If I'm not available there, you'll end up buying some new product, which you maybe like better at some point and you start shopping from there online, right? So I think for most brands, the focus is to create a complete 360-degree ecosystem where you exist wherever the customer is. It could be, say, quick commerce tomorrow. I don't know, maybe fashion 6 months later could be at a Zepto or a Blinkit, right? Who knows? So even if that happens, we have to be prepared and be ready at every platform where the consumer is kind of looking for your product. So offline journey for us started sometime in 2021 after COVID. We felt there was huge potential because a lot of people were actually getting scared, shutting down stores. We thought this is a great time to kind of enter the market where there are a lot of gaps, a lot of openings in terms of malls, markets, etc. So that's where our offline journey really started.
Is the consumer of Libas same in online as well as offline?
I think that conversation of online customer is offline customer is different has completely finished now. I think everybody knows that it's essentially the same consumer. Like we get so many inputs from our offline stores that actually customer are walking in with an image of a product that they've seen on the online store, and I want this particular product. And that's why I said, like, today it's an ecosystem. If you're, because see, today going to a mall or going to a high street market is not just product driven, it's more of an occasion for an Indian consumer. अगर आज Sunday है, as a family you want to go out, irrespective of online being there, you might receive the product in 15 minutes, but that one time, once a month, maybe that scenario is gone, that if you need a new shirt, you would specially go to a mall in one of the weekdays and pick up a shirt, right? That maybe that trend is going now. But occasion based, that's why we've seen that shift with how 50 to 60% of our sales are happening during the weekends. Why? Because that weekend stepping out, having an experience with the family, that is something that is never going to go down, I feel. So we feel that customer is common. Sometimes he's going to buy online, sometimes he's going to buy offline. But if we are not available across both platforms, we might lose out on that customer.
So what would be your strategy now going ahead from an offline perspective?
So I think we are really rapidly scaling up our offline activities, and to our surprise, fortunately we are one of the few brands who actually moved online who were big online and moved offline. So discovery is much easier. Today, the customer acquisition cost for me offline is much cheaper because when people are actually walking in, for them it's actually an excitement that finally we have a Libas store near us, right, in our mall or in a high street near us. So for us, we are rapidly scaling that up and we are seeing some great trends. All our stores are profitable since day one. So we are not really taking that journey of 6 to 8 months to, acquire consumer and then be profitable. So it's been fairly easy for us and we are stepping onto the accelerator now. And we've actually found the right fit, right size, right model to kind of serve our offline consumers as well.
So from an operations perspective, how many stores in which categories you must be having currently, and what would be your online and offline sales?
See, today, as of today, we are already about 11 to 12 EBO strong. And it's just been about a year and a half since we started our EBO journey. We've rapidly scaling up our multi-brand outlets as well. So we're already available at 400 plus stores of Shopper Stop, Lifestyle, Centro, all major chains that you'll see. So we're rapidly scaling that up as well. And in the next 1.5 years, we aspire to open 100 plus EBOs and be at about 1,000 plus large format stores across India as well. In terms of our revenue split, I would say e-commerce is still a dominating factor here. We are still 85 to 90% online, about 10 to 15% offline at the moment. But we see that this trend is going to be about a 60-40 in the next 2 years, where 60% will be online and 40% will be offline.
Wow. So when you started it was 100% and now it will be 60% in a decade's time. This also shows something about the robustness of the Indian market, that even though you started online, you had so much of success in the initial years or almost a decade, but now you are going to have close to 100 EBOs and 1,000 MBOs in the coming year or two. So I think that shows a lot about the robustness of the economy and the demand side as well. What would be what are your key or what have been your key marketing strategies to achieve, this success?
Yeah, I think there was a trend about 10 years back. We saw that consumers were actually looking at ethnic wear in a slightly low light because they felt that it's slightly backward, or it is not as good as a product that you can probably pick up from a Zara. It is not modernized because that time the modernization was happening. A lot of international brands were actually coming into India, right? So it was very important for us to ensure that ethnic wear stays relevant. And we felt that the only way to do that is to modernize ethnic wear. So the ideology, whether you come to a website, whether you visit one of our stores, the idea is the brief to the teams are straight that it should give you a fresh feeling, a young feeling, a modern day feeling. Like it should be a feeling as that you're entering a say a Zara store or an H&M store. It should not be those traditional heavy designer looking stores where you'll see those castles, palaces, etc. Right. So that was never the brief. That's why even when you do a photo shoots, any communication, you will not see that palace vibe or that most ethnic wear brands do. It'll be more floral, it'll be more green. So that is the approach that so that's how we actually communicate to our customer, and that's how we modernized Indian ethnic wear. And in terms of our marketing strategy, being a digital first brand, right? So we still feel that online marketing is the best form of marketing. Digital marketing is much more relevant and targeted as compared to a lot of offline channels like say magazines, OOH, etc. So we prefer to 95% of our budgets today, even though offline is rapidly scaling, even the offline consumer, we are actually targeting through digital modes only. We are not spending a lot of money in the offline and the old traditional way of marketing. So we feel that we actually did one of our first TV campaigns last year. We got a brand ambassador on board, Sara Ali Khan. So we again got a brand ambassador who's fairly young, who looks at ethnic wear and modern light. So we specifically got Sara Ali Khan because of that reason. And the target audience for us for that campaign was also around 18 to 30. And the campaign did tremendously well, where we actually saw an upward trend of younger people actually buying Libas. So that's been our marketing journey over the last few years.
Could you share some insights, on the performance of ethnic wears from a subcategory perspective, the kids wear, the lounge wear, within Libas, and what would be your cash cow there?
So for us, of course, our dominating category is kurta sets. So we feel that's about almost 50 to 60% of our business comes from this category. And it's followed by kurtas, everyday wear kurtas, casual kurtas, etc. So 80% of our pie comes from these two categories. And then balance 20-25%, we do smaller capsules like we do Libas Kids. We have now a sub plus size brand, which is doing phenomenally well because now we're talking a lot about inclusivity within the organization as well. So that is definitely on an upward trend. And loungewear as a concept really started picking up after COVID, as we all know. So that started scaling up. It's still about 5 to 6% of the overall business, not very, very big, but I would say about 4 to 5%. But it's definitely a market that is here to stay, and we are consistently focusing on that. We have dedicated teams who are serving the loungewear space as well.
So the fashion trends are changing. You mentioned, in your initial discussion, and the consumer preferences are also changing. How does Libas stay ahead, in all this changes that are happening?
Actually, innovating is in our DNA. I mean, anybody that you talk to in our organization today, if you walk into our office, they will never be settled with where we are. We feel that every time, no matter where we reach, there is some way to innovate, right? So today, for the last 2 years, we've done a lot of advancement in the space of AI. We are using AI a lot in terms of whether you talk about experiences on our website. I mean, keeping front end, which a lot of people are doing, in the back end, especially, we are using AI very, very rapidly in terms of for that matter, our new season mood boards, 60% or 50% of them are made basis AI-based trend forecasting. We're working with a lot of partners to kind of stay ahead in terms of what kind of fashion, what silhouettes, what color trends are doing well across the world, and we are using those kind of inputs to kind of do newer creations. That is one. Then use of so we feel that we are so we have huge customer obsession in the organization. So we actually take feedback really, really well. And our last 1.5 year, the focus has been to increase speed. So speed is actually the core term within the organization. Speed in getting newer products to market. speed in terms of the website experience, in terms of payment gateways or checking out checkout experience, speed in terms of delivering the product, speed in terms of returning the product. So we actually said that speed is our prime focus that we want to solve in the next 2 years. And like I said, starting from conceptualization of a new product to the journey till the customer is returning the product. We've actually separately solved speed over the last 1.5 years. So today we are actually, if I talk about just warehousing or shipping the consumer. So we today as a D2C brand or on marketplaces, we are one of the only brands who give promises of 1 or 2 day deliveries to over 75% of the country's pin codes from our own warehouse. Normally, you will see that trend only where marketplaces like Amazon and Flipkart are holding inventory in their warehouses. We are actually doing and committing the same speeds that they are doing from their warehouse in our warehouses. So that's something that we've been able to achieve. Then in terms of returns for that matter. So we have no questions asked returns. The moment the product is picked up, even before doing any QC, we will actually issue you the refund. In terms of fashion, so we've actually moved over the last 2 to 3 years, we moved from fast fashion to ultra fast fashion. So when we started out, actually, we started out with the concept of Zara. We wanted to be the Zara of ethnic wear. So over the last 1 year, we've actually changed our model from being the Zara of ethnic wear to being the Sheen of ethnic wear, where I'm sure you would
Yeah.
have seen the success story. So now we've actually moved to an ultra fast fashion model where, as compared to launching 20 to 30 styles per week, we've actually moved to about 70 to 80 and almost 100 next year per week. So that's the kind of speed that we are bringing fashion into the market. Earlier, we used to, most traditional brands work 2 to 3 seasons in advance. We used to work 1 season in advance. Now we actually don't work any season in advance. We are doing real-time retail, where real-time designing, sampling, conceptualization is happening, and real-time orders are being placed for those merchandise.
Siddhant, can you share some of the defining moments or strategic shifts, in your journey, which you feel that, it's worth sharing as an insight for all of us?
Yeah, I think so both have very different insights and inputs. Of online and offline are very both insights. I think for online, for the e-commerce space, most brands should focus on speed and being customer obsessed, right? Because today, at the end of the day, we living in a busy world, right? People first priority for anybody to convert or be a consumer is to be satisfied. And we've actually done research where said that most of the satisfaction metrics are dependent on speed, starting from order placement to order delivery to returns. All three places, customers are not happy if you're promising 1 day and you're shipping the order in 2 days. Customers are not happy if you don't have the right payment gateway or your website is slow on the website. Customers are not happy if you're saying that you'll issue the refund within 2 days and if you don't issue it in 2 days, right? So customer acquisition cost being so high today, if the consumer is coming to you, and because of these 3 to 4 metrics, if you lose them, your customer acquisition cost is going waste. You're not able to increase your loyalty, which in return will help. I mean, it'll never help you be profitable, right? So I think that is one of the most important things. And as the journey goes on, we have to stay relevant. And the only way to stay relevant is to adapt to newer trends. If omni-channel is doing well, you have to be omni-channel. If D2C is only doing well, you have to be focusing on D2C. So we feel that that's how we've actually stayed relevant over the last 8 to 10 years because we've adapted at every process. We've not had a delay of even 3 months. COVID started, we knew D2C is going to be the fact. So we immediately overnight said, yeah, let's focus on D2C. After that, omni-channel was the it word. Within 3 months, we launched our first store. I think that's how you kind of stay ahead of the curve, right? So that those are the strategies that we've really followed to make sure that we're covered across all directions.
One important vitamin for growth is vitamin money. And what are your views on the funding side of the business, and any plans for the near future?
See, we come from a slightly different background, a very conservative background. We always made sure since day one, every business that we touch should be profitable and should be able to fund itself. Of course, money is required to accelerate that growth sometimes. But yes, we never feel that if that today your product is not making enough money, there is going to be some bright day that it starts making money. To accelerate, if you decide to kind of influence, that is one thing. But at a unit economics level, we believe that no matter whatever launches we do, even if it's a new store, even if it is a large format store, even if it is focusing on D2C, we always ensure that unit economics are such that it's funding itself rather than burning money. So that's been we've been a 100% bootstrap business so far. We've not raised a single penny from outside, and we've been profitable and one of the few brands who can proudly say who's reached a scale of 500 crore plus being 100% bootstrap in the D2C space. So
There are so many competitors coming up, so many conglomerates, corporates, individuals, startups, all of them are, venturing to this space, and it has become overcrowded. How will you stay relevant, Siddhant?
yeah, we believe that the major reason for our growth so far has been our customer obsession and the quality of products and the value that we deliver. We feel if these three places are in check, I think as a brand you will always stay relevant. Your product has to be good. You have to be a good value. It should not put a hole in your customer's pocket, and you have to be customer obsessive, where you're looking at feedback and solving on those feedback immediately. I think if you have these three tick marks, there is no way a brand can go wrong.
Final question, Siddhant. What is there for future? Any product lines? What are your plans? Collaborations, innovation, innovative strategies? What's there? Succinctly, if you can tell us.
So we actually hear a lot of questions on this particular topic where people say that why don't you start menswear? You're such I mean, it's direct. It's a very similar product to what you're already doing. It's a much easy extension for you. So honestly, menswear right now in the pipeline we don't have. One of the major reasons being we wanted to do expansion on the side where we target the same consumer rather than completely tapping a new consumer. A different gender is means different forms of marketing, different target audience, different targeting. So instead, where we are actually expanding is in a lot of categories. For example, like footwear, handbags, where the consumer essentially remains the same. We are trying to kind of do upselling in certain categories like that. So I think one of the newest categories that you'll see from our side is going to be handbags, which we're trying to launch anytime before Diwali, and footwear early next year. So these are certain plans on the pipeline.
Final leg of our interaction, Siddhant. This is the rapid fire round, and I'll be, throwing
Okay,
some
so
questions at you.
I'll have to be prepped for this properly. Yeah.
Okay,
Please, so.
we start. What is your favorite feature about Libas?
See, I think how we've kind of modernized Indian wear, I think I mentioned this in the conversation many times. I think that is the key highlight that I would take away, that modernizing has been the key highlight, and people look at ethnic wear in a cool light now again. So I think that has been one achievement that we've been able to achieve. So,
What is the most memorable customer feedback you have received?
so that's a very difficult one. So many of them actually. I think one of the best ones that I remember was that I met somebody a couple of years back, and that female was telling me that at one of the events that I'm a very, very big Libas fan. And we actually in our family, it has become so common that everybody knows that आज occasion है तो मेरे को gift में लिबास नहीं मिलेगा. It could be a Rakhi, it could be a Diwali. So he said that in our family, it's actually become an emotion. So for us, Libas is actually an emotion, not just a product. So I think that was one of the key, the best compliments, or I think the biggest achievement I would say that we've
You have
come
already
across.
answered this, but still, if you could collaborate with any celebrity for a special edition product, who would it be?
I think we've already, like I said, we've actually worked with Sara Ali Khan before, and we would, of course, love to do a collaboration with her again on one of our few products. And of course, one more celebrity that we have on our mind is Kiara Advani, because we feel that she carries ethnic wear really well. She also, taps onto that younger audience, and she has that recall. So,
If you had to describe Libas' brand personality in 3 words, what would they be?
young, modern, and fashionable. So I think these are the 3 words that
Young, modern, and fashionable. If you could give one superpower to your products, what would it be?
Honestly, I would firstly give it the power to sell itself so that at least we can focus on other attributes. But honestly, most importantly, I would give it a feature or superpower of self-healing, because we feel that no matter how much we try, how stringent our QC activities would be, at certain times, we do end up sending that product that the customer might not like. And I wish that we could give it a power to self-heal in terms of that product. So, yeah.
If you could describe the future of fashion and apparel in 1 word, what would it be?
So, future of fashion for us is, of course, fast fashion, and the marriage of fast fashion is sustainability. So I think that is the future, and I feel that marrying these two things is most brands who are going to succeed in the years to come.
So marrying sustainability and fast fashion.
Fast fashion, absolutely.
Name one brand you see as your closest competitor.
I think I mentioned already Shein. We wouldn't compare it to ethnic wear brands because we don't see them as competition, honestly, because we're trying to create a category of our own. And I don't feel that there are a lot of brands in this space. I honestly, since day one when we started as a competitor, not any of the ethnic wear brands, but Zara to be our direct competition, honestly speaking. So that's what we're really competing with. And
If you could quantify this, where do you see Libas 5 years down the line?
see, we aspire to be the largest fashion house of the country in the next 5 years. And like I said, we're going to be a full stack omni-channel brand. And you will see at every possible mall near you or online. So I think we're going to create that omni-channel seamless ecosystem where no matter where you engage with the brand, you'll have the exact same experience.
As a CEO of Libas, what is it that Siddhant loves the most about this brand?
See, I like that hunger within our teams to innovate. I think that's what's made us stay relevant over these years with so much competition, like you earlier mentioned. So we are hungry and we are customer obsessed, and I think those are two things that I love about my teams as well because it's in their DNA. Probably they see me. That's why kind of it's built in their DNA as well. And even when we do our hirings, I think that's the only two things that we look for honestly at the time of hiring as well.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Siddhant Keshwani, founder, CEO of Libas, for speaking to us at D2C Dialogues. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, and it was a pleasure.